Do you want to take your images from okay to amazing? Or should I say snapshot to fine art? Ever wonder how your images can transform from the camera to a gallery wall, client space, or even your home? One tiny decision can turn your photos from forgettable to fine art. It's not magic, it's retouching, a step by step process I'll walk you through. We'll start with selections, basic adjustments, Photoshop corrections, plugin enhancements, and finish with my favorite, dodge and burn. And once you see the final transformation, I promise you, you'll never look at Photoshop the same way again. I think I'll finish this retouching series in 3 to 4 parts. First step, most people skip this, but get this wrong and no amount of editing will save you. Alright, let's just jump into the computer, and the first thing we're going to handle is selections. It is the most important part of getting a good image. It's like selecting a jury. Your jury is not in favor, you are going to lose the case. Selection is exactly the same way. Select a good image and then you can make it better. Select a bad image and you can only make it good. So selections, super important. I'll show you how I do it. I don't use my brains, I just use my subconscious. Alright guys, so here we are in Capture One, review and import. So there you go. And here starts the process. The biggest thing for me is the selection. I don't think I feel. And in a moment, you will see exactly how to train your eye to do the same. I have a method where I don't use my brains at all. I don't. I use my subconscious mind. And in order for my subconscious mind to work and give me the best result, I cannot give a image any kind of time. I just keep scrolling as fast as I possibly can. And the minute my subconscious mind tells me to stop, I will stop. And the reason why the subconscious and not the conscious mind is because then the conscious mind is going to start making all the decisions. This is too far, this is too close, this is not this is not that. But the subconscious mind goes clearly only with the emotion. So if I see something and I am getting the emotion, my audience is going to get the emotion. If my audience gets the emotion, that is a great image, right? I want them to feel. I don't want them to think. So that's my step number one. I will just scroll as fast as you see. It's less than a second. And I keep looking and I keep looking and I keep waiting. Actually, I should say I keep waiting and I keep waiting. Right? Once the subconscious mind says stop, I mark it with my star number one. Right, which you see over here. Mind you guys, I am not thinking. From my first star, I'll do the same exact thing. Let my subconscious mind say to me, okay, Ejaz, stop. Then I go and I mark it to star number two. And there you go. Now I have my star number two. And from my star number two, I will start to do exactly the same thing. And I will go on to star number three. You can see how over here on the left hand side, how I have reduced the numbers. But bottom line, it's not a process where I spend too much time analyzing. And then from there, I go to my 4. And then from my 4, I will go to my 5. And after my 5, I will go to my colors. Over here on the left hand side, you see Capture One has this star system, and then after the star system it has the color system. I do keep sorting and sorting and sorting and sorting until I reach maybe one image out of 5,000 or maybe 10 images out of 5,000. Selections, just so you guys know, is a matter of subconscious. It's not the matter of conscious. Let me see which image I should show you, as this is a basic retouching. What I do is I go into my adjustments and then I go to my exposure. Now this is where it starts. So this is how I have originally photographed the image. Of course, it's like you go to the grocery store and you buy a chicken. Now you need to put all the ingredients to enhance the taste. Again, I shoot in RAW, so this image is pretty damn flat, which is all good, which is what we really want. So my first thing would be to go to exposure in the adjustment thing. I don't believe I need any exposure adjustments. I turn on the top right hand side. If you see, I have my warnings. I turn that on and I see that it has selected parts of this bird which is overexposed, which is very slight. I can live with it, so I'm going to leave that alone. But what that really did is it tells me that I cannot make this image any brighter, because if I did make the image brighter, hey, you know what? It's going to be a problem in printing. The other thing I do is I will continue to look and look and look. What am I looking for? Remember, in the selection process, I allowed my subconscious mind to do all the selections, but now this is time to take action, and now I'm allowing my conscious mind to do all the work. My goal is to enhance this image where I stop my audience or my client in their action to get mesmerized by this bird. But where are they going to get mesmerized? Lucky for me that this bird is giving me a direction, and the direction is coming from the left bottom and then climbs up and gets to the eye. That is the direction. Even if you see, the beak is pointing directly to the eye. So now I have two things that are going directly to the eye. The eye is mesmerizing, but I need to add more contrast in the travel. So that is what I'm looking at my image. Sometimes I could look at the image for half hour, sometimes I could look at the image for 5 hours, but in this particular case, since I'm showing it to you guys, I'm just telling you what I do. I stare and I stare and I stare and I stare and I stare. What is the driving point of this? I believe it's going to be the color contrast, not the lighting contrast, meaning not the luminance. It's going to be the color contrast that's going to drive this image into my audience or my client's emotions. I'm going to pump up the contrast by not much, maybe 2 or 3. I'm going to leave the brightness around, and I am going to move my saturation up as well. Now, all these decisions are made simply because I have decided that the eye is where I want my audience to look at. That is where all the emotions sit, but I want the eyes to travel through the body and the neck. So again, retouching is not the mathematical thing that I have seen. I personally, it's very emotional, very creative in my opinion. And that's how I ask myself the question. So the other one is then I actually go down all these, how do I call this, the exposure settings and the high dynamic range. I don't start from the bottom, I start from the top. I go exposure, contrast, brightness, saturation. Anything to be done there? Yeah, I did the contrast, I did the saturation. Why I did it? Simply because I know this is a color contrast driven image. Second, highlight. In fact, I'm going to drop the highlight down. I don't want the highlight to be so bright. There you go. See, I think it pulls it in a little bit more. Shadows, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to pull the shadows down. So now it's starting to get darker, of course. All right, so I'm going to start to pull the shadows down as well. I'm going to leave the whites the way it is. I'm going to pull the black down. So now I see the numbers here. I've gone minus 13, minus 18, minus 15. I've dropped it down. Why? Simply because I had planned the fact that I want my background to be the brightest and I want my subject to be the darkest. So that's where this is sitting at the moment. She is dark, so my planning of the shoot is now in line with my retouching. So I'm going to make everything darker, and it helps because the background is bright and I can make this even more darker. Then I go to my levels. Levels is basically going to give me nothing much but contrast. I will play with it and see how I feel, because I'm also checking my histogram on top over here where it is. It's pretty far away, so I do have a range. Is it helping me? I think it is, but I'll go halfway through. I'm not going to go all the way through. I don't want it to be brighter. Once again, I'm going to come up to on top here, exposure. I haven't done much, meaning the brightness is still the same. Then I go to my curves. Don't ask me why. I absolutely love my curves, and I think the reason why I do is because I have worked with curves for such a long time and I have total control of curves. The first thing I do with curves is I pull my darks down, and the reason why I'm pulling the darks down is because I've shot it that way, right? I want my subject to be the darkest, correct, in the frame. So objective is being met, make it as dark as possible without destroying the details, and then pull up my brightness ever so slightly. My eye just gets locked into her eye. That is where my emotion is sitting. Again, I'll toggle that. That is one thing that I do all the time. I toggle that back and forth just to make sure that my printer doesn't call me back and say, hey Jazz, there's no information on this. Now let's get into the color contrast side of things, which we don't speak much about. I don't know why we don't, but we being us photographers, we don't speak about that. We only speak about how good it's lit. So I come back to color balance. Again, I don't do much over here as well. I go to my clarity here. I'm not going to make this image black and white, so I won't touch that either. I can increase the structure for the eye to travel better, and then I'm going to turn the clarity up also just a tad bit to about 3. Is there anything that I need to do in dehaze? I'm going to give it a shot. No, it makes it ugly. I'm not going to do anything with dehaze. I'm going to cancel that. Every slider I touch serves one purpose: to stop the viewer right here and make them feel something. Okay, so that basically takes care of that. Now, since this is a contrast-based image, meaning I am looking to create contrast, not necessarily with luminosity, but with color, I want to be in control. And this is what Capture One allows me to do. What it does is here, so I go to my color editor, I go to my color picker, I pick my color, it pulls it out there. Now I'm going to feather it just so slightly more and move it up so I can grab more of that color range. Once that is done, I'm going to start moving this around. And I'm going to say, I'm going to keep the hue the same. For the most part, I don't like to mess with hue. I'm going to move the saturation up only of that color, right? So there you go. And then I am going to make it a tad bit darker. You see, I'm not making it brighter because bright, if I make it, it's just going to lose the attention. Saturation, a little bit more. Smoothness, I'm going to add more to it. Now, mind you, I have a difficulty here because the background is close to what the neck is. So if I do too much of that, I think it's going to have a problem and it's going to start affecting the back as well. So saturation, pump it up, and I think I like it there. It is drawing the attention where I want it to. Then I am going to add another color to this, because remember, you are creating this image. You are the creator and you are telling your audience or your client, this is where I want you to look at. So now I'm going to go select another color, which is the eye, which is so damn difficult, at least on this one. I'm going to make it as narrow as possible. I will not broaden this, but I'll make it narrow so it only stays on that color, and I'll shorten the range right there. Otherwise, it's going to go into the background, guarantee you, because it's almost the same color as the background. And then if I move it up or down, it will not help. See, it is affecting the background. I see that, but it's also affecting the eye tremendously. I'm trying to get the best contrast between the orange and the yellow on her face. I'm making it as smooth as possible. I think I need to reduce the selection even more so it affects that. Yeah, I can see the effect more there. Saturate that. It's saturating the background as well, but I think that is where I want to leave it. Now, once I've done my color, I am going to come back and go into my curves and see, is the curve right for where this image is right now? But I can adjust it a little bit more. Again, toggle this guy on. Perfect. See, I made it darker and the overexposure is going away. Once that is done, I have done there, I go backwards again and I will check with everything else if I am sitting in place correctly. Once that is done, great. Go back to my dynamic range there, move the blacks. Oh my God, now that is popping, and that's it. If this feels like a lot of work, good. because every inch of control here becomes emotions on the wall. And in part 2, I'll show you how we take it even further. This image is basically done from step number 1, which is selection, to basic retouching, and from basic retouching now it's getting ready to go into Photoshop. Once it goes into Photoshop, I don't turn around and look back. It will never come back to Capture One. Now, I know Capture One has gazillions of other things. You know, you can create a mask, you can do this, you can do that. I don't do any of that. As basic as possible, I will upload that information onto Capture One right here on the top side, and I'll go and apply that to everything else. This is ready to go into Photoshop, and that's going to be part number 2. I'll take it into Photoshop. Believe it or not, guys, this is not done. This process basically will take me approximately maybe 4 to 5 hours per image once that's done, and once it goes into Photoshop, I think it's going to take me another 6 to 8 hours to finish it up over there as well. So again, don't get hung up on the software, Capture One or Lightroom. It's all one and the same as far as I'm concerned. The quality is the same, so that's all that should matter to you. Your client is never going to turn around and say to you which software you use to retouch. You know, it's for you to retouch, get the best out of the best out of the best of your file, so it satisfies your needs. And if it satisfies your needs, it will satisfy the viewer's needs as well. A tip that I'm going to say to you in retouching: there's less work, meaning physical work, and there's more thinking work. So if you have planned for your shoot properly and then you brought it into any of these softwares, and if you sit and just look and look and look at the image that you have selected, trust me, it's going to tell you why it's so important, what you should retouch to bring the emotion to the spot that you want your audience to look. And that is going to make a successful photograph for you. So the basic retouching helps me move the image from where it is pretty flat to where it is now, in trying to express myself more and where I want my audience to see, so they can feel something as well. Basic retouching, the best for feelings. So I'll see you guys in part 2. We'll continue retouching this guy in Photoshop, and then we are going to use plugins that help take this image to a different level altogether. See you guys soon. Thanks.